Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good breakfast, dinner, lunch, brunch, whatever time it is, wherever you guys are at. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. My name is Chad. You guys are watching JaegerWrenching, and today we are going to look at my Supercharger, and I want to show you guys that it is a stock non-ported blower because there's some people that don't believe me. And at the same time, you know, we can just look at it. You guys probably never seen what it looks like underneath. I can show you what a ported one looks like, what a stock one looks like, and we can do all that. So let's get into it. Okay, now I got my mat clean here. If you guys don't know, this is a Cow RC mat. It is magnetic, so you can see like it stops it, you know. So if you drop a bolt or something, it's not gonna get far. It'll only hit a couple times and then stop. So nuts and that, it just, yeah, works well. So we got it nice and clean. Now we're gonna get this guy up there. My friggin' garage is a mess, guys. I know I need to clean it up. I'm moving stuff from one job to another place. I think we are also trying to get our own shop. I think ultimately that's gonna be the best bet. So, but let's get this Supercharger up here. So as you guys can see, I shouldn't have done that. I set it down on something. You can see it laid over some of these fins, so I'm gonna end up straightening those fins back out. That's a bummer. I wonder what it hit. As you can see, I still have this broken one on because as long as it's being moved around, I'm gonna leave the broken one on, and I have the new one over here to the side. So just because I don't want to break it again, I feel like over here we can break it, bend it, do whatever we want to do, and it'll be okay. These are, I believe, 7mm, guys. So we gotta get, yep, that's my 7mm. The only 7mm that I have here is my 7mm wobble. So we're gonna use it with my very nice and big, long, 1/4 inch flex head snap-on. So we'll put this dude on here, and we're gonna get to undoing these guys for you, because I want to show you guys what it looks like underneath the blower, because a lot of guys don't get to see that, and show you that it's stock. Okay guys, you can see they're all out of that side. They're all out of that side. So now we got to be very careful when taking this guy off, because we're going to have to get a pry bar and pry a little bit. But you don't want to bend this bracket, because then you're not going to get a good seal around here. I'm going to show you guys a way to kind of smooth this out. Sometimes you can take this and you put this part over a flat surface, and you can hammer on the back side of it and get it to smooth out if you do bend it a little bit. But we're going to take it off, and hopefully it's not going to fight us too much, and it'll look good. Also, you guys, you want to be very careful. You don't want to touch this part up here. You can see I already have one spot there that's a little, I showed you guys earlier. Be very careful. If you lay these fins over, you're hurting the performance of it every time you do that. So we're going to try our best to smooth those fins out a little bit. And you got to be very careful if you do that, not to touch these rails, because this is where the coolant actually flows through, is each one of these rails. And that's where you're going to get, if you push on it too hard, a hole and start leaking into your engine, which is a bad, bad, bad thing. So don't do that, guys. You guys hear that? You can hear it. That's what we want to hear, boys. Notice how I'm using a small pry bar too, by the way. You don't want to use too big of a pry bar. It doesn't take much. You just got to kind of work it. You guys listen to that though. Hear that? That's what we want. Are you guys ready? Shall we get the camera set up better? Alright guys, the moment of truth. Is it a... So check that out. That is where your seal is, around this whole part, and that's what the air flows through. You can see coolant flows in and out of here. You know, in one, out the other. I'm not sure which one it is. You guys can see that looks good. This is the part that you have to make sure is set up right and has a good seal. Right there, it doesn't seem like it's sealed all that well, so I'm going to make sure it does this next time. But most of it I think sealed pretty well. And you gotta, if you don't have a good seal here, guys, you're losing horsepower, because instead of your blower going through here and getting the intake temps down, all that hot air is gonna leak past, and you're not gonna cool it, and then your intake temps are gonna be high. And I think a lot of people have problems with that. So that's one thing to be wary of. We're also gonna go back through and brake clean all this and clean it all up and make it look good. So, but check that out, boys. That is as stock blower as she gets. And as you guys can see, the rotors in here, when I first took this guy apart, there was no shininess. These blades had their coating all over the edges. Now that I've been spinning it hard, we've lost some of that Teflon coating. And the miles have gone up too. We went from a 15,000 mile car to now a 27,000 mile car. So we're gonna lose some of that, but that's a part of the game. So if you have a ported blower, you're gonna have, a lot of times they're gonna port by these holes, they'll port, and they're gonna come down here and they'll kind of open this up, or they move this taper kind of downwards. So they widen it a little bit up here at the top, or keep it the same and they just bring it down straighter instead of V'ing there. And then sometimes they'll put a hole down here too, I've seen. Depends on, what blower and whose port job. You guys can see this is a totally stock, non-ported supercharger. You can tell like the edges on those holes aren't smoothed out. The edges all on this aren't smoothed out. That's things those guys will do when they port them to make more power, is just get rid of the roughness that they have and smooth them out a little bit. It's kind of crazy how much Teflon comes off of them over the years, but this thing spins effortlessly. My hand is super oily on this pulley and it's really slippery. Like, you can see my fingers just sliding on it. It doesn't take much effort to actually, move this guy. Like, I'm very happy with this blower, very pleased. It's done really well. We're gonna stick it back on. I don't think I'm gonna do anything to it. We're gonna leave it in stock form because I want to break some stock records. So also, when they talk about these superchargers and what they displace, they're talking about if you put a mark, on your pulley, and you spun it all the way around till you saw that mark again, that would be 1 revolution. And when they're saying this is a 112 cubic inches, that's like 1.85 liters, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but they're talking about this will move in 1 revolution 1.85, but they call it 1.9 liters of air in 1 revolution. Obviously, if we increase this to this, like the supercharger that's on the car, the 2.3, our rotors get bigger, they're obviously going to be able to move 2.3 liters of air per revolution. The one thing that always gets me is when guys go and port the blowers. Now, if we port this and do that, theoretically, this is going to move more air in that same revolution than it did before. Therefore, it could be a bigger supercharger. And that's what kind of, to me, is kind of silly in a way. I feel like the way that they should have done this, and the way that I think would be more even, I guess you could say, in battles in comparison and seeing which company has a better, higher performing supercharger, would be physically the displacement of the 2 rotors. So if they took the 2 rotors out and they dunked them in a tank of water, how much water would they displace? Therefore, by the size of your rotors, how much air can this supercharger move? And you could be like, this is a 2.3 liter rotor displacement, but it moves 2.5 liters or 3 liters worth of air per revolution. Ultimately, then it becomes the battle of who can make a better, more efficient supercharger per smaller package. Because as of right now, somebody's rotor package could be all the way over here, and it only displaces what this little tiny rotor package displaces, just because it's not as efficient as this one. So that's all I'm getting at. That's what I think. Obviously, if you could, move 2.3 liters of air with a blower package this size versus one this size, you're going to have a lot less rotating mass.